One of the things I'm most proud of is our mental health department, where we provide low-cost counseling to special needs individuals and their families. During times like this is something that everyone can use.
Love and light. Hello, everyone. My name is Kameena Star, and you're watching Healing Self-Care live. I am a caregiver of a daughter with autism and ADHD. And if you are a caregiver of someone with special needs, then you're in the right place. Thank you for showing up here today. Today, our topic is going to be something that is very close to our hearts today that is stressing everyone out across the nation, and it is this voting day. So, what I thought would be a great idea would be for us to discuss 4 science-backed ways to ease election day anxiety. That is the topic today. Thank you all for coming and for enjoying Healing Self-Care. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me here at the Ed Asner Family Center, where we also will help you with your self-care and your self-love and mental health. We have a mental health and therapist available here for you today. Today is such a beautiful day, but a nervous topic for all of us, right? So at the end of the show, for all of you who may have questions, I have also asked for a very popular guest to come back today. And it will be my daughter, Keena Ballard. She's going to help me read some of those questions. So if you have any questions at the end that you'd like to ask me, go ahead and write in. And we will get on to the show, and you will get to hear Keena a little bit later on. So today's topic, 4 science-backed ways to cope with election day anxiety. I would like to welcome you to this topic of not talking about who they are as far as the candidates are, but talking about you as a caregiver. Here at the show, I believe this self-care for caregivers is the best way for you to become a better caregiver yourself by healing yourself internally. And you can do that also on election day. So nerve-wracking what today's election is. It gives me anxiety just knowing that I am clergy and particularly a non-voter. But if I got an email today that says someone voted for Kanye, so that's a real thing. And I guess that'll ease off the anxiety a little bit to realize that. So let's get to tip number 1 that we can talk about today. Tip number 1, I think is a great subject it's a great tip for any time, really. It's not just election anxiety. And number 1, avoid dwelling on worst case scenarios. Even better yet, imagine a better outcome. Imagine a more positive outcome for yourself and for this world and for this election. What you'll want to do is think about I'd say avoid dwelling uncertain situations and think about how you deal with rumination. If you were to get bad news, and are you the type of person that would dwell on it a long time? Or are you the type of person that would get anxiety and would need to shift their mind and their focus to think, how could this scenario end for me in a more positive and loving way? Me personally, if it's an anxiety around elections, how can I get in and out or if you voted early, that was great too. But if you have to deal with the public, how can you make a plan to deal with the public and also honor your choice? Which brings us to tip number 2, make an election day plan. Today is pretty crazy. And for people who are running out and doing voting in public, wearing a mask, and everything that comes along with the pandemic has been spread out and very nerve-wracking for us. So I believe that having an election day plan can also help. Me personally, for my family, my election day plan is to get home. I want to be safe and clear of anything that may happen. And that's being very realistic. It's not necessarily being negative, but if something were to happen, I want to make sure that my family is safe and secure and where we need to be. And it says here, just as a break in this, I want to let you know that this information is coming from CNBC. And it says they had a recent poll where 68% of people who are significantly stressed by this election, as opposed to just about 54% before. So this is really causing some stress and anxiety for lots of people. According to a recent survey from the American Psychological Association and Inheritance poll, that 68% is in every household of adults who might necessarily be voters, but I don't think they keep in these numbers who might have children with special needs and who all might need to have a little special care surrounding the situation. And which brings us to tip number 3 for today. Tip number 3 for today, I think, is also another good one for a general situation. And let me just pause and say here, control your media consumption. Controlling your media consumption is great to do all the time. If you particularly know that you're a nervous and anxious person surrounding what the outcomes of this election will be, control your consumption. Take it down a notch. Maybe only read once a day or until we find out what the election results are. Make sure you can go back in intervals, but not every 5 minutes. There's another great way, if you have an iPhone, is to go ahead and put your phone on night mode when you know that you're particularly irritated at the polls. Also, turn off that TV. Don't watch the news. And in general, when you're trying to keep your spirits high and you're trying to maintain positivity, consuming what you watch on the media, either way, could consume you at that point to be completely negative. So I would take off what I'm watching there. We're getting to number 4. And number 4, I wanted to particularly say was something that my daughter had actually helped me think of for this, and that was to honor your vote. Honoring your vote is something I think is really important for any special needs parent or any person with special needs that may be an individual voting, because how hard was it for you to get there? How hard is it for you to sort out what the issues are, who the candidates may be, and battling your anxiety of getting respite care, whatever you needed to do to vote, and or just getting the quiet time to vote online? This year's a really different year for all of us. And so easing our anxiety about being at the polls and also honoring our vote is important. Now, what do I mean by honoring our vote? Well, for one thing, you can make sure that your vote is counted even weeks after the election is over. And I know some people think, well, that's kind of silly, but when you have something that you want on a local election and you're voting for a senator or whatever, you want to make sure that your vote is counted. And you want to make sure that everyone involved knows your opinion and how you feel about being a special needs caregiver. Okay, so today, if you are just joining me, my name is Kameena Star, and this is Healing Self-Care live here at the Ed Asner Family Center, where our subject today is 4 ways to combat election anxiety. And we've gone through those 4 ways today. I also will be having a second guest, extra guest. She's not a guest. Listen. By popular demand, last week, I was asked for my daughter, Keena to come back. And I have decided to come on and have her come back. And she's going to help me read some questions if you have any questions. So come on back. And if you have any questions here, and make sure you come back every week, because Keena, I took your suggestions. I'm going to go ahead and give her a segment of her own where she will be talking about travel and maybe some Disney stuff. I'm not sure. And just while we're at it, I would like to let you all know that you are watching us here live from the Ed Asner Family Center. We have wonderful therapists and we have groups where you can come in and get taken care of for your personal and mental health here at the Ed Asner Family Center. If you're looking for me, I'm Kameena Star, and I will always be here available for you. You can leave a DM here and or reach back out to me on the DMs. All right, so let's see what else we're going to do today. Now that we're talked about this election stress, I want to talk about something that I think was number 4 on election stress, and that was honoring your choices. And so now that I've gotten past all the scientific information, let's talk about the other half of this show, which is healing self-care. What can we do to better care for ourselves and show ourselves some love in this situation, in this world today? I don't want to ignore anyone that's here. I do see an immediate question. Let me see if I can read it. Any tips for soothing anxiety in children? Hi, Kalila. Thank you for visiting the show and for asking a very valuable question. Yes, let me take a deep breath. For anxiety in children, and I know that I'm talking to a bunch of special needs parents, and you are important, and your anxiety level is important as you are coming to how to deal with the anxiety with your child, believe it or not. So the first thing, Kalila, what I'm going to do, start with you. How's your anxiety level? If you are dealing with your child, and I do know Kalila's my sister, Kalila from caregivers, I know when you're dealing with your son, that taking a few deep breaths, if I could just demonstrate, I'll sit back. I'm going to put my hands on my knees, and I'm going to just take a deep breath in my nose and out my mouth. And one more time in my nose. And each breath, I'm going to take one more breath in through my nose and out my mouth. And each time I do that, those are going to be cleansing, clearing breaths that I can be present in the moment and level down my own anxiety. I'm going to see myself in the sun, wherever I am, even if I'm sitting in the car. This is a small meditation that you can do to deal with anxiety before you deal with your child's anxiety. So now that you've found your presence and your moment and your center, when you turn and look at your child, assess the situation if they're nonverbal and if they have anxiety and what they might have anxiety about. Get them to try to communicate or point to you or talk to you if they've lost language. And then here, Kalila, is something that you can do if your child is experiencing anxiety that will calm them down immediately. You can take the top of your hands, open your hands, and go to the top of your own head. I want you to, with hands open and palms down, press down on your head gently, slightly, and you're keeping in mind that this is also for you, and you can also do this for your child. You can do this for anyone who's experiencing anxiety, for them to be able to heal in a few minutes. And what that does is, especially if you're needing that vestibular input like the kids, you can go ahead and go down your arm. Let's see if I can demonstrate here. We're going to go down our arms and see if you can see here and squeeze and continue to squeeze. We're going to squeeze deep pressure. You might notice some of this as vestibular input from being, if your child has sensory issues as well. This is an OT tip for occupational therapy, and shout out to my USC occupational therapists out there for showing me this great tip. I'm going to do the other way too. I'm going to just and these work. And then also here, deep pressure. I'm going to hug myself because we all need hugs right now. We need hugs today. We need self-love. And the one thing that you can always do is hug yourself, and you can hug your child. And those are some things that you can do for anxiety in a child. Thank you for that question. And maybe a little bit later on, I'll get my daughter to come here and answer a few more questions. If you have any, please ask all the questions you can, and we'll demonstrate on Keena about anxiety. How about that? All right. So once again, this is Healing Self-Care with Kameena Star, and we are at the Ed Asner Family Center. Today, we're talking about 4 ways to cope and ease anxiety for election anxiety, and we've just gone over a few ways of self-love that we can heal ourselves and cope with anxiety. And Kalila asked a question about her son. So we've done some deep squeezes and some exercises. I see we've got some more questions coming in. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to have my daughter come on in and help me read these questions since I can't see the screen. All right. Welcome to the show. Once again, Keena Ballard. Come on over, Keena. I'm just going to scooch over.
Hello, everyone. I'm back.
She's back. All right, Keena, you're back. And what did you think about today's show? Today's topic.
Today's topic, I think, is very helpful, especially for people who are just turning 18 and don't really know who they're voting for. It may be stressful for, newcomers.
Very true. It's very true.
It's maybe a different rodeo for, other people.
Much more different rodeo for people who are new to just voting in general.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How are you feeling? Any
Doing
anxiety or anything?
No, not a lot of it anyways. I'm pretty good with knowing, a lot of things, but my family talks about, like, they go in deep about politics, so yeah. It's kind of like I know too much at this point. I'm too deep.
Possibly. You might possibly know too much about it.
Yeah, they went too deep.
They went too deep. Okay. Well, you helped me come up with a lot of the tips for today. Do you have any tips to add to any of those 4 that we said earlier?
Yes, I do want to add that there's different ways to vote. You don't have to do it during the mail or anything like that. You can go online and do it. Social media is a good thing to do.
Online is a very popular option this year.
Yes. Dig in a little bit of just about what they're going for and not just voting just to vote. So just think about what, a little bit about what are the options are they giving us, because it's
read
important.
A little.
Yeah, it's important to vote for know who you're voting for.
Perfect. Okay, and the last tip that we had was about self-love, and we talked about it on the way over here, getting something positive out of this. And what do you think we can take from this that could be very positive? What can we do to make it positive here?
One of the big positives I think are make sure, let me think. It's been kind of tired morning.
Take your time. The whole day has been exhausting for all of us.
Yeah. One of the positive takeaways I think would be you voted. You did it. It's over with now. You don't have to do it again for another, I don't know how many years. We all been here. 2 years, I guess.
Right.
Just remember that if the person that you don't, or the person you voted for, remember they may not be voted as president, but just remember you voted. It's okay if they're not president. There's another year for them.
Right. Honor your voice, that you stood up, that you've made your voice heard.
Just don't be disappointed. Don't hold the high expectations. You don't want to go high and then come down low.
Okay. So so what you're saying is to remain neutral to whatever happens.
Yes.
And whatever is the outcome is, just remain neutral to it.
Yeah, okay. Because if you go in a little bit more positive, it's okay, but just don't get really sad if who you voted for is not who you actually get.
I think that's very great advice.
Keep an open mind.
It's very interesting talking to you because you're in this generation. And
I feel like sometimes I'm out of the generation. I'm born here, I guess. I'm just like, I was born in the early 2000s, but my whole mindset's all over the other places.
It's in other time. It's in other time periods before this or.
Yeah, before this, it's a whole nother thing.
You're old school. You want to say you're old school?
Yeah, I'm an oldie in heart. All these new people, I guess, are all right as well, but I'm here. I'm here. The other generation is born than this.
Well, your generation is absolutely been affected. And I'm very happy here to actually bounce things off of and to have. I know that anybody who's watching this, I'll laugh at myself. We are great balance. We balance each other out from the old school to the new school generation.
Kind of like peanut butter and jelly.
Kind of like peanut butter and jelly.
I like for people who can eat peanut butter and jelly, almond butter and jelly.
Okay, almond butter and preserves. You hear the vegan.
Or bagels and cream cheese if you want to go the more classic route, I guess.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can go to more classic route, but I brought you back this week to try to talk about some of these questions, and I think we're getting some. Why don't you go ahead and read that right there? And see what we have. Okay, so I took care of Kalila.
Hi, Grammy. How are you doing? I see you.
Beverly Dawkins. Hi. Hello, Kameena. And Kalila said, can you read the rest of it and see if there's another question there for you?
Okay, I'll do another Kalila question because you guys got to ask more questions. I only see Kalila. Come on, you guys.
You're supposed to be nice to the guests. It's okay.
I know, but nobody's asking questions. Come on, you guys can do it.
Well, they don't have questions yet, so go ahead. And what's that?
It says, "Hi, Keena. Hi. Do you have any anxieties about the election?" No, I don't think so. Especially because I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. It's kind of like I see it in the mail. I'm just like, well, it's mail.
Hadn't really thought about it. Well, now I know that comes from your mom. I'm the mother, everyone. I know that I make sure that I don't put off my political or apolitical standpoint,
Yeah, you don't want to change my decision, or
right. That. Even if you're in the same household, you can vote your own way, your own party, your
just
own.
Don't put other people down because you want them to vote like this, or I want you to vote like this.
Right.
You better do it.
Right. So I guess that so no, Keena's she's a Leo, so she's never scared of anything, and everything's gonna be great no matter what happens.
I am scared of, I play it cool.
Okay, the thing she's scared of, she plays it cool. I think we should all play it cool right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important to play it cool.
Any more questions that you have on there?
I don't really see any currently.
I see something that says "Hello, Keena." Something there.
Yeah, I know. I'm old school. Hello, Keena.
What does it say?
It says, "LOL, Keena is old school." Yeah, I know.
Thank everyone else. And I can't see it. You're here to read this, but
there's not very much.
Okay.
This is brilliant. Thank you, Kalila. Hello, Mom. Grammy said hi to you. You didn't even say hi to her.
Hi. It's technically, she's a fan of the show. Kenny, you busting us out. You're supposed to just read the questions.
I don't see no questions.
Oh, okay. So the other one just said something about, is everyone who is...
So should vote. Hello, Keena. Do you think everyone who is 18 should vote?
There you go. There's your question.
I think it's really something where you have to get used to knowing that you're able to vote. So sometimes the mindset isn't there completely. I think if you're 18 and you want to vote, talk about it with your family. Like some people who you are comfortable with, or other people who are 18. Somebody who's like-minded, because sometimes you're just not ready. Sometimes you got to wait maybe a year or 2 years.
So you're suggesting that it's a mind frame that we need to be in, and it's would you say a maturity level?
No, I wouldn't say that, because I think everybody's mature in their own way.
Okay.
And they can develop that in a different way. But I think that honestly, that when you're 18, it kind of just it's just a number at some point.
Okay.
And then, you kind of have to get into the mindset that you're 18, at least for me personally.
Okay. So not everyone at 18 would be totally ready to vote, in your opinion,
exactly.
If they don't really know what the subjects are and what they would.
Exactly. Don't feel pressured to vote, is what I'm trying to say. Don't feel pressured.
Don't
feel pressured.
I have a question.
Matt has a question.
So how did you prepare to vote?
Well, I've just been preparing by just, taking in some of the commercials. Sometimes they have commercials on YouTube, and sometimes you just want to skip them, but sometimes they're not skippable. So sometimes you just gotta take it in and be like,
okay. So the question was, how did Keena prepare to vote? And Keena said that you were active online.
Yeah, also I learned a little bit about voting just personally. I just wanted to learn about a little bit of the candidates. Who are we actually voting for?
Sure.
I don't really watch news. I'm more of a reader, when I read articles and stuff, things like that. I think also learning about the different branches and stuff is important, because you kind of forget that when you're in middle school or whatever age you learn it. You kind of just forget about it. It's kind of like
you vote. You forget that it's not just the presidential race that you're voting for. That you shouldn't be just voted on. You should vote on all of the subjects.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of put that. You're just like, oh well. You kind of just forget everything around 12, 13-ish. You're just like, that's not important to remember. At least to me anyways. I'm like, that's not important.
So then your mom reminds you of it, or whatever Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a word or a phrase.
So now this is a follow-up question to Matt's question. How was the fact that your family, we are third-generation poll workers. I did not work this year. There's some very obvious reasons for that. My grandmother, my sister, my aunt, all of us have worked at the polls and assisted special needs people voting physically at
I
the
think
poll. So how did that affect?
I think it's
you?
very important to teach kids that they're able to vote,
Okay.
but also teach them the right reasons. Because sometimes we're just voting, it's voting to get out of the way.
Okay. To say that I've done it or I have a sticker that says I voted.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Mhm.
I don't think it's actually like it's like a material thing. You get something because you did this.
I understand. So the fact that your parents have taught you about it and that your family's
but
taught you about it,
sometimes
that have
people don't teach you about it until like maybe it's a little too late, or maybe you just don't want to learn about it and you're not interested.
Okay.
I think it's important.
She said she wouldn't be interested.
No, I would probably be interested, just to know the basics. But if you go like into like textbook research, what's this, what's that, then there's some part of me that just like, okay, I stopped listening after this word.
Sure. And there is actually another comment there that we'd like to read just before the end of the show. Thank you so much for writing us. I'm not sure. Can you see it, Keena?
I can't see it. He put the thing over it.
You see it, it's on your picture there.
What is it?
I
She
just
can't see it.
so small.
Okay, can you read it to us, maybe? What does it say?
It's not always about the presidential votes. My twin 24-year-old son voted because propositions, issues important to them. And
he's writing from Arizona, and it was about recreational marijuana. And then quote of the day: sometimes YouTube commercials are not skippable. Keena Ballard. That's
it's just like
okay. So
sometimes it's not important.
Well, let's go back to the first comment, and I want to say thank you for writing in from Arizona. Hi, Arizona! I love Arizona. It's hot there.
Yeah,
listen,
it's a dangerous place.
And I know they're like an hour ahead of us or something like that. And I think that's
with
very
daylight
important.
savings as well.
Well, they don't change. Arizona doesn't change the daylight savings. They're
okay.
Because
it's like 2 hours ahead. I'm like, man.
But what did you think about that comment? They're saying that their son voted for other things other than the presidential election.
I'm glad he knows
medical and recreational marijuana. We saw that.
That's very important to vote for that. I think it's very well. Also, he's 24. He's doing it. Good job.
Exactly.
Good job.
I think that's a great thing too. And knowing about what the current topics are and what the current issues are that affect your life as a special person and as a special individual, as a regular person, knowing which issues affect your life and which topics and things that you
I
want
think sometimes
to vote for is very
sometimes
important.
I think it worries people though. Like for special needs, we worried about the little things. So I think, well, for me particularly, sometimes I worry just like about the little things. So I think it's good to expand your horizon upon other things as well, and not just get so fixated about the little ones.
Perfect. I think we all should do that, and that's some great advice for today. We have just a little bit before we end. I'd like to thank my daughter, Keena Ballard, again today for helping me save the show, and for you joining us today. 4 ways to cope with election anxiety. Hopefully, we provided you some wonderful tips and some self-love tips and some ways to calm anxiety. If you ever need us again, we will be here at the beautiful Ed Asner Family Center. And as we warm up to these shows week to week, we hope that you will come back and visit us Tuesdays, 3:30 p.m. PST. Leave us all your questions and comments and watch the replay on YouTube. And until then, take care. What else would you like to say, Keena? She'd like to say something.
Tell everyone about it. Make sure you have some people that you know about it. Don't forget to vote.
Use your voice.
Use your voice.
And shine on.
Shine on.
One of the things I'm most proud of is our mental health department, where we provide low-cost counseling to special needs individuals and their families. During times like this is something that everyone can use.